Tonight we slip quietly into the cobblestone streets of 19th century Paris, a city bustling with horse-drawn carriages, the aroma of fresh bread, and the murmur of a million lives unfolding. Imagine yourself there, a phantom observer, drifting through the narrow alleyways and grand boulevards. You feel the damp chill rising from the Seine, see the flickering gaslights casting long, dancing shadows, and hear the distant, melodic cries of street vendors. It's a Paris both familiar and utterly alien, a place where life moved at a different pace, and survival was a daily negotiation with a capricious world. You probably wouldn't survive a week, let's be honest, without modern medicine, sanitation, and, well, indoor plumbing. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening in, let me know in the comments where you are and what time it is for you right now. I always love to see how far these sleepy stories travel. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing on a damp, uneven street, the air thick with the smell of coal smoke and something vaguely organic, a blend of horse manure and damp earth. A fine mist, more a perpetual Parisian sigh than actual rain, settles on your eyelashes. The year is 1870, just before the storm of the Franco-Prussian War will engulf this city. But for now, peace, however fragile, holds court. You are here to observe, to understand, to almost feel the life of a Parisian umbrella mender. Not a grand figure of history, no, but one of the countless cogs in the vast, intricate machinery of daily existence. You see the faint glow of dawn barely piercing the dense Parisian sky, painting the rooftops a bruised violet. The city slowly awakens, not with a jolt, but with a gentle, stretching yawn. A baker's boy cycles past on a rickety bicycle, a basket of fresh baguettes precariously balanced, their warm, yeasty scent briefly tantalizing your senses before dissipating into the cool morning air. You follow a narrow, cobbled lane, your imaginary footsteps making no sound. This isn't the grand Paris of Haussmann's boulevards, not yet, but the labyrinthine heart, the Paris of the people. Buildings lean in on themselves, as if in a perpetual gossiping huddle, their upper stories almost touching across the street. Laundry hangs from windows, colorful flags against the muted gray of the stone, still damp from last night's wash. A woman empties a bucket of something unspeakable into the gutter below, a casual, unthinking act of urban life. You probably wouldn't want to be standing directly underneath that window, would you? Just a little something to ponder as you drift along. You pass a small, unassuming doorway, its paint peeling like ancient skin. A faint clinking sound emerges from within, a rhythmic metallic tapping that hints at industry, at work being done. This, you sense, is your destination, or at least the beginning of your observation. The light inside is dim, a single gas lamp flickering on a workbench, casting long, dancing shadows that make the small room seem even more cramped. The air is redolent with the smell of old fabric, damp wood, and a faint, metallic tang. It's a smell that speaks of repair, of things broken made whole again, a scent unique to the trade. You step inside, or rather, your consciousness floats in. You are invisible, an uninvited guest in this quiet, industrious space. Before you, hunched over a workbench, is the umbrella mender. He is not young, perhaps in his late 50s, his hair thinning, streaked with gray, pulled back from a high forehead. His spectacles perch precariously on the end of his nose, perpetually sliding down, and he constantly pushes them back up with a calloused finger. His hands are his livelihood, gnarled and strong, bearing the marks of countless repairs, tiny nicks and scars that tell their own silent stories. He holds a broken umbrella frame, turning it over and over, examining it with the intensity of a surgeon. His name, though you wouldn't know it, is Jean-Pierre. He inherited this small, almost forgotten trade from his father, who inherited it from his father before him. It's a lineage of quiet service, of mending and making do in a city that constantly reinvents itself. He doesn't speak much, not even to himself, his thoughts seemingly as focused and precise as the movements of his hands. He works with a quiet dedication, a rhythm that has been ingrained over decades. The morning light, now a pale, watery yellow, struggles to penetrate the grimy window panes, barely illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. On a shelf above his workbench, neatly stacked, are various components of umbrellas. A bundle of whalebone ribs, the backbone of any good brolly. A collection of wooden handles, some intricately carved, others plain. And utilitarian, spools of waxed thread in various thicknesses, and a small, overflowing box of tiny, glinting metal rivets. Each item has its place, a testament to the order he brings to a life that could otherwise feel chaotic. Did you know that whalebone was a primary material for umbrella ribs for centuries, prized for its flexibility and strength? It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about the materials available and the ingenuity required for everyday objects. Some historians actually debate whether whalebone was more prevalent than steel ribs in lower-cost umbrellas during the early to mid-19th century, arguing about the true cost of materials and the economic strata of umbrella ownership. It's one of those delightful little historical quibbles that keeps scholars up at night. Jean-Pierre picks up a small, pointed tool, a specialized awl, and with a swift, practiced motion, punctures a tiny hole in a piece of oilskin. He then threads a needle, its eye so small you need the patience of a saint to thread it yourself, and begins to stitch. His movements are fluid, almost meditative. You watch as the new piece of fabric, a patch for a tear in a faded black umbrella, begins to take shape under his deft fingers. He hums softly, a tuneless, almost imperceptible sound, more a breath than a melody. It's the sound of contentment, of a man at peace with his craft, even if it's a humble one. You wonder how many umbrellas he has mended in his lifetime, how many thousands of stitches he has sewn, how many broken frames he has painstakingly restored. It must be a truly mind-boggling number. He probably dreams of broken umbrellas chasing him through the streets, or maybe he dreams of perfect, unblemished canopies floating serenely above him. The umbrella he is working on now is not a grand, silk-lined affair of the bourgeoisie. No, this is a workman's umbrella, its fabric worn thin, its wooden handle smooth from years of use, its metal frame corroded in places. It has seen many a Parisian downpour, offered shelter from countless storms. It's a testament to the fact that in 19th century Paris, an umbrella was not just a fashion accessory, but a vital tool, a necessity in a city renowned for its unpredictable weather. Losing an umbrella was not a minor inconvenience. It was a significant financial setback for many. So, an umbrella mender like Jean-Pierre was an essential part of the urban fabric, a quiet hero preserving these small but mighty shields against the elements. You can almost hear the umbrella whispering its tales of countless journeys through the rain, of secret rendezvous, of hurried commutes. If only umbrellas could talk, eh? Though I suspect most of their stories would involve quite a lot of dripping and being left behind in cafes. Jean-Pierre pauses, leaning back slightly, his eyes half closed as he assesses his work. A faint smile plays on his lips. He seems satisfied. He reaches for a small, chipped ceramic mug, its contents a murky brown. He takes a long, slow sip of what you can only assume is lukewarm, bitter coffee or perhaps a weak, herbal tea. It's a simple, unhurried moment, a brief respite from the focused intensity of his work. He seems to savor the quiet of the early morning, before the city truly awakens with its cacophony of street cries, cartwheels, and distant church bells. For him, this hour, this peaceful, productive solitude is likely the most cherished part of his day. It's when he is truly his own master, engaged in the timeless dance of creation and restoration. You almost want to tell him to put his feet up, but then again, he probably thinks that's a ridiculous idea. He's a man of action, even if that action involves mending fabric with tiny stitches. As the morning progresses, the light outside Jean Pierre's workshop strengthens, though it still holds that characteristic Parisian soft gray. You notice the dust motes in the air, swirling like tiny, golden galaxies in the faint beams of sunlight that now manage to pierce the window. The clinking of his tools continues, a steady, comforting rhythm. He has moved on to a different umbrella, this one a more elaborate affair, with a curved wooden handle carved into the likeness of a bird's head. This suggests a wealthier owner, someone with a bit more disposable income to spend on a stylish accessory. The fabric, too, is finer, a dark green silk, though now ripped in a rather dramatic fashion, as if it had been caught on something sharp and unforgiving. Perhaps a rogue cartwheel, or an unfortunate encounter with a lamppost during a particularly brisk walk. Jean Pierre examines the tier with a professional eye, his brow furrowed in concentration. He pulls out a small, magnifying glass, holding it close to the silk, studying the weave. He is not simply patching a hole, he is analyzing the damage, considering the best method of repair to make it as invisible as possible. This is where the artistry of his trade lies, in the subtle restoration that makes a broken object whole again without leaving obvious scars. He selects a thread that seems to disappear into the fabric, a testament to his discerning eye and the wide array of materials he keeps on hand. You wonder how he acquired such a diverse collection of silks and threads. Did he purchase them in bulk, or did he meticulously save remnants from previous repairs, like a squirrel hoarding nuts for winter? Perhaps a bit of both. He works slowly, deliberately, his movements precise. The needle seems to dance in his fingers, weaving in and out of the silk with an almost magical dexterity. He stitches with a technique known as invisible mending, a skill that few possess. It requires immense patience, a steady hand, and an understanding of fabric that borders on the intimate. He hums again, that soft, tuneless melody, almost as if he's communicating with the umbrella itself, coaxing it back to life. You might think mending an umbrella is a simple task, but try stitching silk invisibly with gnarled fingers and a flickering gas lamp as your only illumination. It's a challenge, to say the least. It's enough to make you want to throw your hands up and just buy a new umbrella, which, of course, is what many people do now. But then, an umbrella mender wouldn't exist, would they? Suddenly, the door opens, letting in a gust of cooler air and the sounds of the waking city. A young woman stands hesitantly in the doorway, clutching a tattered, shapeless bundle. She's dressed simply, in a dark, practical dress and a worn shawl, her face smudged with what looks like soot. She is a laundress, perhaps, or a seamstress, someone who works with her hands, someone who relies on her possessions. Her umbrella, you presume, is her lifeline against the capricious Parisian weather. Monsieur Jean Pierre, she asks, her voice soft, almost timid. Jean Pierre looks up, his expression unreadable. He sets down the silk umbrella, carefully placing his tools beside it. He doesn't speak, just nods, inviting her in with a slight tilt of his head. He is a man of few words, preferring the language of his hands. You get the sense that most of his interactions with customers are like this: brief, to the point, and focused on the task at hand. There's an unspoken understanding between them, the mender and the mendied, a shared knowledge of things that break and things that can be fixed. The young woman unwraps her bundle, revealing an umbrella that looks utterly beyond repair. Its ribs are bent into grotesque angles, the fabric shredded in multiple places, dangling in forlorn strips. It's less an umbrella and more a testament to a particularly violent skirmish with a strong gust of wind, or perhaps a rather enthusiastic dog. She looks at it with a mixture of despair and hope. My umbrella," she begins, her voice trembling slightly. It was caught in the carriage wheel. Is there any hope?" Jean-Pierre takes the mangled umbrella from her, turning it over in his hands. He doesn't wince, doesn't sigh, doesn't show any emotion. His eyes, however, are scanning the damage, assessing the feasibility of resurrection. You watch him closely, trying to decipher his thoughts. Is he thinking about the time it will take, the materials he will need, or simply the challenge of it? He applies gentle pressure to one of the bent ribs, testing its resilience. He tugs at a loose piece of fabric, his fingers feeling the quality of the material. A quiet hum escapes him, not a tune this time, but a sound of deep concentration. You might think, oh, just throw it away and buy a new one. But in this era, for many, that wasn't an option. Repair was a necessity, a way of life, a form of sustainability long before the word even existed. He finally looks up, his gaze steady. "It will be difficult," he says, his voice a low rumble, the first words you've heard him speak. "Many new ribs, new fabric for much of it. It will take time." The young woman's face falls. She probably doesn't have much money, and the implication of difficult and time is likely translating into expensive in her mind. Jean-Pierre, however, seems to anticipate her worry. He points to a section of the frayed fabric. "I can use a sturdy canvas," he offers, "not silk. It will be strong. And I can use some older ribs I have if you do not mind they are not new." He is offering her a more affordable option, a compromise that speaks to his understanding of his clientele's struggles. He is not just a craftsman, he is a pragmatic problem solver, almost like a financial advisor, but for umbrellas. It's a nice little touch, really, this quiet empathy. Her eyes light up with a flicker of hope. "Oh, monsieur, if you could, I depend on it for my rounds. The rain," her voice trails off, but the sentiment is clear. "The Parisian rain is no joke." "Come back in 3 days, Jean-Pierre says, a hint of finality in his tone. He doesn't ask for payment up. Rent, a sign of trust, or perhaps a quiet understanding of the precarious financial situation of many of his customers. He takes the mangled umbrella and places it carefully on a designated shelf, among other sad, broken umbrellas awaiting their turn for resuscitation. He has a system, you see, a way of keeping track of his many patients. Some are probably beyond hope, awaiting their final resting place in a scrap heap, but others, like this one, are candidates for a glorious comeback. He probably has a mental triage system going on in his head, weighing the chances of recovery for each and every one of these rain-worn warriors. It's a bit like a doctor in an emergency room, but instead of life and death, it's about the continued existence of a very useful and often underappreciated household item. With the young woman gone, the quiet returns to Jean-Pierre's workshop, a silence punctuated only by the distant sounds of Parisian life filtering in through the open door. He returns to the silk umbrella, picking up where he left off, his concentration unbroken. The incident with the laundress's umbrella seems to have barely registered, a brief interlude in his steady rhythm. He is a man who lives in the moment, in the task at hand, his world defined by the intricate dance of needle and thread, of metal and fabric. You watch as he finishes the delicate mending of the silk. He holds it up to the light, turning it slowly, inspecting his work with a critical eye. The tear is almost invisible, a testament to his skill. Only a faint, almost imperceptible line remains, a whisper of its former injury. He then sets about oiling the wooden handle, rubbing it with a soft cloth until it gleams with a rich, deep luster. He checks the springs and catches, applying a tiny drop of lubricant to each, ensuring a smooth, effortless opening and closing. He doesn't just repair, he rejuvenates. He takes pride in his work, not just for the money it brings, but for the satisfaction of a job well done. It's a level of craftsmanship that's increasingly rare, a dedication to quality over speed. He probably doesn't even know what a planned obsolescence is. On the small, cluttered table beside his workbench, you notice a stack of old newspapers, folded neatly. The headlines are in French, of course, and speak of political unrest, of distant skirmishes, of the ever-present churn of Parisian life. He likely reads them during his lunch break, or perhaps late in the evening after a long day of mending. It's his connection to the world beyond his small workshop, his window into the grander narrative of history unfolding around him. You can almost imagine him sighing over the latest political scandal, muttering a quiet curse about some new tax, or perhaps even chuckling at a particularly witty caricature. Even an umbrella mender needs to keep up with the news after all. Although, I doubt he's getting his news from a TikTok feed. He puts the finished silk umbrella aside on a rack with other mended umbrellas, waiting for their owners to reclaim them. Each one tells a story, the elegant, the practical, the well-loved, the neglected. They stand like silent sentinels, awaiting their return to the bustling streets, ready to face the elements once more. There's a certain poetry to it, isn't there? These objects, so mundane yet so essential, each with its own journey, its own scratches and dents, its own history of protecting someone from the rain. He probably knows some of his customers just by their umbrella, like a doctor who recognizes a patient by their gait. Ah, Monsieur Dubois, still favoring the green silk, I see. Or perhaps, Mademoiselle Dubois, you finally managed to break the purple one again, have we? Jean-Pierre then turns his attention to the laundress's umbrella, the truly mangled one. This is a bigger challenge, a test of his ingenuity. He methodically begins to straighten the bent rib, using a small, specialized vise and a delicate hammer. The metal groans and resists, but under his skilled hands it slowly yields, beginning to regain its original form. It's a painstaking process, requiring both strength and finesse. One wrong move and the rib could snap, rendering the repair even more difficult or perhaps impossible. He works with a quiet intensity, his movements economical, precise. He doesn't waste a single motion. He's a bit like a surgeon, but his patients are inanimate objects, and they don't scream as much, usually. Did you know that early umbrellas were primarily used for sunshade, not rain? It wasn't until the 18th century that their use as protection from rain became more widespread, particularly in Europe. Before that, umbrellas were often seen as a symbol of status and wealth, ornate and delicate, not practical for a downpour. So Jean-Pierre's profession, as we understand it, is relatively modern in the grand scheme of things. It's a quirky little fact, isn't it? Imagine strolling through Paris with an umbrella purely to avoid a tan. The horror. He pauses, stretching his back, a faint grunt escaping him. He reaches for a small wooden box, opening it to reveal a collection of old, used umbrella parts. This is his treasure trove, his personal salvage yard. He sifts through them, his fingers nimble, searching for the right length and curvature of rib, the perfect joint, the precise spring. It's a testament to the sustainability of the era, the ingrained habit of mending and reusing, of squeezing every last bit of life out of an object. Nothing was truly wasted, unlike today where we might just toss something and buy new without a second thought. He probably thinks our modern habits are utterly baffling. They just throw it away, but it could be fixed. He finds a suitable rib, slightly tarnished but strong. He holds it against the mangled frame, comparing the curves, ensuring a perfect fit. He then takes a tiny file and meticulously smooths any rough edges, ensuring it will glide effortlessly. It's the little details, you see, that elevate a craftsman from a mere repairman. He's not just replacing a part, he's integrating it, making it one with the original. It's a testament to his dedication, his quiet pursuit of perfection in a world that often values speed over quality. He probably has very strong opinions about factory-made umbrellas, too. I bet he could tell you within 5 seconds if an umbrella was well-made or not, just by the feel of the handle. You notice a small, framed photograph tucked into a corner of the shelf, slightly yellowed with age. It's a picture of a young woman, her smile soft and gentle, her eyes kind. She's wearing a simple dress, her hair neatly coiffed. You wonder who she is. His wife, perhaps, a daughter, or maybe a cherished memory, a beloved face from a life lived beyond the confines of this small workshop. It's a fleeting glimpse into his personal world, a reminder that even the most dedicated craftsman has a life beyond his trade, a heart that holds its own quiet stories. He probably looks at it sometimes when he needs a little boost, a quiet reminder of what he's working for. Or perhaps he just likes having a nice picture in his otherwise very practical workspace. Who knows? The afternoon light begins to soften, casting longer shadows across Jean-Pierre's workshop. The air outside is still, holding the promise of an evening chill. Jean-Pierre continues his work on the laundress's umbrella, his concentration unwavering. He's now in the process of replacing the shredded canvas. He carefully measures a piece of dark, sturdy fabric, laying it flat on his workbench. You can almost feel the texture of it, rough yet durable, a stark contrast to the delicate silk he worked on earlier. This umbrella, when finished, will be a workhorse, built for practicality and resilience. It will be strong enough to face the fiercest Parisian squalls, a true shield against the elements. He uses a special tool, a large, heavy pair of shears, to cut the fabric with precision. The blades gleam, honed to a razor sharpness, making a satisfying snip as they slice through the thick material. He works with a quiet efficiency, each movement purposeful and economical. There's no wasted effort, no hesitation. He's done this thousands of times, his hands knowing the movements instinctively, almost as if they have a mind of their own. It's the kind of effortless skill that comes from decades of dedicated practice, the kind of mastery that can only be forged through repetition and experience. You could probably blindfold him, and he'd still manage to stitch a perfect seam. As he works, you notice the rhythmic creak of floorboards overhead. Someone is moving about in the apartment above, a faint, domestic sound that hints at a life beyond the workshop walls. Perhaps it's his family, his wife preparing an evening meal, or his children, if he has any, playing quietly. It's a comforting sound, a reminder that even in the heart of this bustling city, there are small pockets of warmth and domesticity. It adds a layer of depth to the silent life of Jean-Pierre, grounding him not just as a craftsman, but as a person with a home, a family, a life beyond the daily grind. He's not just an umbrella mender. He's a husband, a father, a neighbor. A whole person, really, despite the limited scope of our observation. And a very patient person, given the amount of meticulous work he does. He begins to stitch the new canvas to the umbrella frame, his needle now thicker, his thread coarser, suited to the heavier fabric. He uses a different stitch this time, a strong, interlocking one that will withstand the stresses of wind and rain. The fabric resists slightly, but he applies steady pressure, his fingers guiding the needle with practiced ease. You can almost hear the soft rasp of the thread as it pulls through the canvas, a quiet, industrious sound. It's a sound of creation, of restoration, of something broken being made whole again. He probably finds it quite soothing, like a gentle meditation. Or maybe he just really likes the sound of his own work. A small bell above the door jingles and a man enters, holding a neatly rolled-up umbrella. He's dressed in a smart, dark suit, a bowler hat perched on his head. He's clearly a professional, perhaps a clerk or a merchant. He speaks with a crisp, clear accent, a more refined Parisian cadence than the laundress. "Bonjour, Monsieur Jean-Pierre," he says, his voice polite but firm. "I believe my umbrella is ready." Jean-Pierre nods, rises from his workbench and walks over to the rack of mended umbrellas. He seems to know exactly which one is the man's. He picks up the dark green silk umbrella, the one he had spent the morning mending. He extends it, opens it with a smooth, effortless motion, then closes it again. The mechanism works perfectly without a hitch. The invisible mend is indeed invisible. The silk gleams, the handle polished to a shine. It looks as good as new, perhaps even better. The man takes the umbrella, his fingers testing the fabric, the mechanism. He nods, a satisfied expression on his face. "Excellent, monsieur," he says, "as always." He reaches into his waistcoat pocket and pulls out a small coin purse, carefully counting out the exact amount. Jean-Pierre takes the coins, dropping them into a small wooden till beside his workbench. There's no elaborate exchange, no lengthy conversation. It's a transaction built on trust and mutual respect, a simple exchange of goods and services. You can almost hear the unsaid appreciation on both sides. The customer's relief at having his prized possession restored, and Jean-Pierre's quiet satisfaction in a job well done and a livelihood earned. It's a truly efficient system, without the need for endless paperwork or digital receipts. Historians often debate the true social standing of skilled craftsmen like umbrella menders in 19th century Paris. Were they considered part of the burgeoning middle class, or were they still seen as working class, albeit with specialized skills? It's a nuanced question, and their economic situation likely varied greatly depending on their reputation, their clientele, and their ability to adapt to changing times. Jean-Pierre, with his steady flow of customers and his quiet dignity, seems to fall somewhere in the respectable, independent artisan category. He probably doesn't care about such classifications, as long as he has enough work to keep his workshop humming and food on the table. He just wants to mend umbrellas, not debate socioeconomic hierarchies. As the man departs, the faint jingle of the bell announcing his exit, Jean-Pierre returns to the laundress's umbrella. The sun is now lower in the sky, casting the workshop in a warm, golden glow. He continues to stitch, his fingers moving with practiced ease. He seems tireless, driven by an inner rhythm, a dedication to his craft. He knows that his work is important, even if it's not glamorous. He provides a service that is essential to the everyday lives of many Parisians. He is a small but vital cog in the vast, intricate machine of the city. He probably doesn't think of himself as a hero, but in his quiet way, he is. A hero of practicalities, a guardian of umbrellas, and that in itself is something to admire. The golden light of the late afternoon bathes Jean Pierre's workshop, giving the old tools and worn fabrics a soft, almost ethereal glow. He continues to work on the laundress's umbrella, diligently replacing the canvas sections. The new, sturdy fabric now covers a good portion of the frame, a testament to his persistent efforts. You can see the transformation unfolding before your eyes, the once ruined object slowly regaining its form, its purpose. It's like watching a sculptor at work, except his medium is cloth and metal, and his canvas is a broken umbrella. He probably finds it incredibly satisfying, seeing something that was a wreck become useful again. As he works, you notice a small, chipped teapot sitting on a corner of his workbench, next to a well-worn tin of biscuits. It's a humble setup, but it speaks of a simple comfort, a brief moment of respite in his day. Perhaps he'll brew himself some tea soon, a warm, soothing drink to ward off the evening chill that will inevitably creep in. It's a little domestic detail that humanizes him further, reminds you that even dedicated craftsmen need their tea and biscuits. He's not a robot, after all, just a very, very focused human being with excellent hand-eye coordination. He reaches for a small, curved needle, designed specifically for working with the thick fabric and the tight curves of the umbrella frame. His fingers, though gnarled, remain remarkably nimble, guiding the needle with surprising precision. He pulls the thread taut, creating a strong, almost invisible seam. He takes his time, ensuring each stitch is perfect, each tension just right. This isn't a rush job. It's a commitment to quality, a quiet promise to the laundress that her umbrella will be as robust as he can make it. He's building it to last, not just for a few more uses, but for many seasons to come. You can practically hear the fabric sighing with relief, knowing it's in such capable hands. You hear the distant cries of street vendors, their voices carried on the gentle breeze. Chiffonier, one calls, a rag-and-bone man, his cart rattling over the cobblestones. Marin Show, another cries, selling roasted chestnuts, their warm, earthy aroma perhaps wafting faintly into the workshop. These are the sounds of a living, breathing city, a vibrant tapestry of commerce and daily life. They are the background hum of Jean Pierre's existence, the world continuing its chaotic dance just beyond his quiet sanctuary. He probably barely registers them, so accustomed is he to the symphony of Parisian street life. Or maybe he uses them as a mental clock, knowing that when the chestnut vendor passes, it's getting close to dinner time. He finishes stitching the final panel of canvas, smoothing it down with his hand, checking for any wrinkles or imperfections. He then begins to attach the umbrella's canopy to its ribs, a delicate operation that requires careful alignment and even tension. He uses tiny pliers, his movements precise and controlled, to crimp the small metal caps that secure the fabric to the ends of the ribs. Each cap must be perfectly aligned, perfectly crimped, to ensure the umbrella opens and closes smoothly without snagging. It's a fiddly bit of work, the kind that tests one's patience. You wouldn't want to try it after a long day, that's for sure. You'd probably just end up with bent caps and a very frustrated sigh. Did you know that the word umbrella comes from the Latin umbra, meaning shade or shadow? This linguistic root reinforces the historical use of umbrellas as sunshades before they became primarily rain protectors. It's a little linguistic echo from a bygone era, a whisper of their original purpose. It's also a good little fun fact to drop into casual conversation, should you ever find yourself in need of an interesting anecdote about etymology. Jean-Pierre hums again, a slightly more discernible tune this time, something old and melancholic, perhaps a folk song or a lullaby. It's a quiet, private moment, a glimpse into his inner world. He's not a man given to grand pronouncements or emotional outbursts, but his hums, his quiet melodies, speak volumes about his state of mind. He's content, absorbed in his work, finding satisfaction in the methodical restoration of a broken object. It's a beautiful thing, really, this quiet dedication. He's probably not thinking about fame or fortune, just about the next stitch, the next repair, the next customer. He holds up the laundress's umbrella, opening it slowly. The canvas is taut, the ribs perfectly aligned, the handle sturdy. It's a truly impressive transformation. It doesn't look new, no, but it looks reliable, robust, ready for many more years of service. It's a testament to the skill and care he pours into every single repair. He gives a small, satisfied nod. Another one saved from the scrap heap, another victory against the elements. He probably feels a quiet sense of accomplishment with each completed repair, a small victory in the face of inevitable decay. He places it carefully on the waiting rack next to the silk umbrella, waiting for the laundress to return. He then begins to tidy his workbench, putting away tools, sweeping up small snippets of thread and fabric with a practiced hand. It's a ritual, a way of bringing closure to the day's work, of preparing for the next. The tools are wiped clean, placed back in their designated spots, ready for tomorrow's repairs. He's a man who appreciates order, a man who knows that a tidy workspace is a productive workspace. You can almost feel the gentle shift in energy in the room as he transitions from active work to quiet winding down. He probably thinks about all the broken things in the world and how he can only fix a tiny fraction of them. But he fixes those tiny fractions with great care. The shadows in Jean-Pierre's workshop deepen, painted long and soft across the worn floorboards. The gas lamp on his workbench flickers to life, casting a warm, intimate glow that pushes back the encroaching twilight. The sounds of the city outside are softer now, the frantic energy of the day giving way to the more subdued hum of evening. He has finished his meticulous tidying, and now sits quietly at his workbench, perhaps reviewing the day's accomplishments in his mind, or perhaps simply resting his eyes. You notice him reach for a small, leather-bound book, its cover well worn, its pages dog-eared. It looks like a ledger, a record of his work. He opens it, dipping a pen into a small inkwell, and begins to make careful entries. He's likely recording the day's repairs, the names of his customers, the cost of materials, and the fees charged. It's his way of keeping track, of managing his small enterprise. It also serves as a historical record of the city's umbrellas, a silent chronicle of the many lives that pass through his workshop. If only those entries could speak, what stories they would tell. Repaired by Jean-Pierre, a grand silk umbrella for Madame Dubois, who always forgets it in the rain. Or replaced ribs on a sturdy canvas umbrella for Monsieur Antoine, who always seems to get into tussles with his. This meticulous record-keeping is a common practice among independent craftsmen of the era. It was their equivalent of modern accounting software, a way to ensure they could pay their bills and make a living. It speaks to a certain diligence, a respect for the business side of his craft. He is not just an artist, he is also a small businessman, navigating the complexities of urban commerce. He probably has very neat handwriting, too, the kind that seems to have gone out of style. As he writes, you hear the distant chime of a church bell, signaling the hour. 6 o'clock, perhaps, or 7. The Parisian evening is truly settling in. The aroma of cooking food begins to waft through the streets, a mix of rich stews, roasted meats, and freshly baked bread. It's a scent that promises warmth and sustenance after a long day's work. You can almost feel your own stomach rumble in sympathy, imagining the simple, comforting meal that awaits Jean-Pierre upstairs. He probably has a favorite armchair, too, where he can finally put his feet up. Did you know that the first folding umbrellas, as we understand them today, were patented in the late 18th century? Before that, umbrellas were generally rigid, non-folding structures, which made them a bit cumbersome to carry around when the rain stopped. The development of the folding mechanism was a significant innovation, making umbrellas much more practical for everyday use and likely contributing to their widespread adoption. It's a small detail, but it profoundly changed the umbrella landscape, giving Jean-Pierre even more fascinating broken things to fix. Imagine trying to mend a non-folding umbrella. You'd need a workshop the size of a small barn. Jean-Pierre closes his ledger, placing the pen carefully beside it. He leans back in his chair, a faint sigh escaping him. It's not a sigh of exhaustion, but one of quiet contentment of a day's work fulfilled. He looks around his small workshop, his gaze lingering on the tools, the materials, the mended umbrellas on the rack. It's a look of quiet pride, of ownership, of a deep connection to his craft. This is his domain, his world, a place where he brings order to chaos, where he restores what is broken. You notice a small, potted plant on a windowsill, a hardy fern that seems to thrive despite the dim light and the general dustiness of the workshop. It's a touch of greenery, a small connection to nature in an otherwise industrial space. It suggests a gentler side to Jean-Pierre, a hidden appreciation for beauty and life beyond the practicalities of his trade. Perhaps it was a gift, or perhaps he simply enjoys having a bit of green around him. It's a charming detail, a small splash of quiet life in a world of metal and fabric. He probably talks to it when no one else is around. "How are you doing today, little fern? Still green, I see. Good, good." He rises from his workbench, his movements a little stiff, a little slow after a long day of hunching over his work. He stretches, his shoulders rolling, a soft crackle audible. He then begins to extinguish the gas lamp, turning the small brass knob with a practiced hand. The flame flickers, then dies, plunging the workshop into a deeper gloom, lit only by the faint, diffused light from the street outside. The tools and materials recede into shadow, becoming indistinct shapes, awaiting the dawn and the return of light and purpose. He walks towards the door that leads to the upstairs apartment, his footsteps soft on the worn floorboards. As he reaches the door, he pauses, looking back at his workshop one last time. It's a silent farewell to the day, a moment of reflection before he transitions into his domestic life. He is a man of routines, of quiet rituals, finding comfort and meaning in the rhythm of his days. You can almost feel the gentle shift in his energy, from the focused craftsman to the family man, ready for his evening meal and a bit of rest. The door closes softly behind him, leaving the workshop in darkness, save for the faint glow from the street. The sounds of the city are now hushed, a gentle murmur. You are left alone in the quiet space, surrounded by the ghosts of repaired umbrellas, the lingering scent of old fabric and metal, and the faint echo of a craftsman's quiet dedication. It's a peaceful stillness, a sense of slumber settling over the tools and the workbench, ready for another day of mending and making whole. It's a bit like the workshop is going to sleep too, dreaming of perfect seams and fully functional mechanisms. And perhaps, just perhaps, dreaming of a truly unbreakable umbrella. But then, What would Jean-Pierre do? The next morning, the Parisian sky remains a familiar muted gray, though a hint of brighter light suggests the sun is trying to assert itself. You find yourself once again hovering in Jean-Pierre's workshop, the faint scent of stale coffee and industrial polish still clinging to the air from yesterday. The tools lie silent, waiting for the first touch of their master. It's an empty stage, ready for the day's performance of mending and restoration. The silence is profound, a stark contrast to the distant rumble of carts and the occasional clang of a bell from the street. It's the calm before the storm, or in this case, the calm before the gentle hum of daily work begins. Soon enough, the door from the upstairs apartment creaks open, and Jean-Pierre enters. He's dressed in the same practical, dark clothes as yesterday, perhaps a slightly different waistcoat, but the overall impression is one of consistency, of an unchanging routine. He looks a little older in the harsh morning light, the lines around his eyes a little more pronounced, but his movements are already regaining their familiar purposefulness. He walks directly to his workbench, his gaze already taking in the tasks that await him. He's not a man who wastes time or dawdles. He's here to work, and work he shall. He probably doesn't even need coffee to get going, just the sheer force of habit and a deep-seated work ethic. He opens the shutters, allowing more of the weak morning light to spill into the room, banishing some of the lingering shadows. The gas lamp is not lit yet, as he prefers to work by natural light as much as possible, a small act of frugality perhaps, or simply a preference for the honest light of day. He then picks up the laundress's umbrella, the one he spent so much time on yesterday, and begins to examine it again. He turns it over in his hands, checking the seams he stitched, the ribs he straightened. He's not just looking for flaws, he's assessing its readiness, ensuring it will truly withstand the rigors of Parisian weather. It's a final quality check, a silent promise of durability. He probably has a mental checklist, ticking off each component: ribs straight, fabric taut, mechanism smooth, handle secure. He then reaches for a small can of waterproofing wax. It's lit a little sticky, the can itself dented from years of use. He dips a soft cloth into the wax and begins to meticulously apply it to the new canvas, rubbing it in with circular motions. The wax, a mixture of beeswax and linseed oil, will make the fabric resistant to water, ensuring the umbrella provides reliable shelter. It's a vital step, one that transforms the mended object from merely repaired to fully functional. It's the equivalent of putting a protective clear coat on a restored painting, or perhaps more accurately, putting a very good raincoat on a very important, if often abused, friend. The smell of the wax, faintly earthy and sweet, fills the air. It's a pleasant, industrious aroma, adding another layer to the olfactory landscape of his workshop. He works slowly, carefully, ensuring every inch of the new fabric is thoroughly coated. This isn't a quick spray-on job, it's a hands-on, labor-intensive process, a testament to the care he puts into his work. He's probably thinking, this umbrella will outlast me. And given the quality of his work, he might just be right. Did you know that in some parts of 19th century Europe, carrying an umbrella was considered a sign of effeminacy for men? It was seen as a woman's accessory, and rugged gentlemen were expected to brave the elements without such protection. This social stigma slowly faded, of course, as the practicality of umbrellas won out, especially in famously rainy cities like Paris. Imagine Jean-Pierre trying to convince a stoic, rain-drenched gentleman that an umbrella is actually quite useful. But monsieur, think of your lovely top hat. As he finishes waterproofing the laundress's umbrella, the door opens again, and a young boy, perhaps 10 or 12 years old, enters cautiously. He's dressed in simple, patched clothes, his face smudged with dirt. In his hand, he carries a small, child-sized umbrella, its canopy ripped and its handle snapped clean in half. He looks nervous, perhaps anticipating a stern lecture or a refusal. He's probably brought his most prized possession to the Mender, hoping against hope that it can be saved. "Monsieur," the boy asks, his voice barely a whisper, holding out the broken umbrella like a broken bird. Jean-Pierre looks at the umbrella, then at the boy. His expression softens almost imperceptibly. He takes the small, broken object, turning it over in his hands. It's clearly a cheap, mass-produced item, not a high-quality piece. The materials are flimsy. Why the construction simple? He probably sees dozens like this. But to the boy, it's everything. Jean-Pierre examines the snapped handle, then the torn fabric. He doesn't sigh, doesn't shake his head. He simply looks at the boy, a silent question in his eyes. I tripped, the boy explains, his voice a little steadier now. And it broke. My mother says we cannot afford another. His eyes, wide and earnest, plead with Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre nods slowly. He knows the struggles of the working class in Paris. He knows that even a cheap umbrella can be a significant expense for a poor family. He sets the boy's umbrella on his workbench, next to the laundress's restored one. He picks up the broken handle, runs his thumb along the clean break. He then reaches for a small pot of glue, a strong, quick-drying adhesive. He applies a thin layer to both broken ends, pressing them together firmly. He holds them for a long moment, his hands steady, his concentration absolute. He's probably thinking, this is not about the money, this is about a child's joy. He then rummages in his scrap bin, pulling out a small piece of brightly colored fabric, a cheerful blue with tiny white polka dots, a remnant from some long-forgotten repair. He smiles faintly, a rare and fleeting expression. He is going to patch the torn canopy with this cheerful fabric. It won't be an invisible mend, but it will be a joyful one. You get the sense that sometimes, for Jean-Pierre, the value of the repair isn't measured in francs and centimes, but in something far more profound. A child's hopeful face, a laundress's restored livelihood, the simple act of making something useful again. It's a quiet moment of unexpected kindness, a testament to the humanity that exists even in the most stoic of individuals. The morning light fills Jean-Pierre's workshop, creating a serene atmosphere as he works on the boy's small, broken umbrella. You watch as he meticulously applies the colorful patch to the torn canopy. The bright blue fabric, with its cheerful white polka dots, stands out against the dull, faded original material, a little beacon of unexpected joy. He uses a fine needle and thread, his movements surprisingly delicate for a man whose hands are accustomed to coarser fabrics and tougher repairs. He's not just patching a hole, he's adding a touch of whimsy, a splash of color to a child's world. It's a small, almost imperceptible act of kindness, but it speaks volumes about the man. He probably knows that for a child, a visible patch might even be a badge of honor, a story to tell. Look, my umbrella was so broken, but Monsieur Jean-Pierre fixed it with a special blue patch. He finishes stitching the patch, smoothing it down with his thumb. He then checks the glued handle, twisting it gently to ensure it's strong. It holds firm. He opens and closes the umbrella several times, testing the mechanism. It works perfectly, if a little stiffly, but certainly well enough for a child's plaything. He gives a small, satisfied nod. The transformation is complete. The broken object is now whole again, and perhaps even a little more special than before, given its new, cheerful embellishment. You can almost feel the gentle hum of satisfaction emanating from him. Just as he sets the mended umbrella aside, the laundress from yesterday returns. Her face, usually etched with worry, holds a flicker of anticipation. She looks around the workshop, her eyes searching for her umbrella. Jean-Pierre simply gestures to the rack where the newly waterproofed umbrella stands. It looks sturdy, dependable, ready for the rigors of her daily life. She approaches it cautiously, almost as if she fears it might disappear. She picks it up, her hands smoothing over the new canvas, testing the ribs, opening and closing it with a tentative touch. A slow smile spreads across her face, transforming her features. It's a genuine smile, one that reaches her eyes, illuminating them with relief and gratitude. "Oh, Monsieur Jean-Pierre," she exclaims, her voice filled with quiet wonder. It's perfect. More than perfect." She reaches into her worn purse, pulling out a handful of coins. Jean-Pierre takes them, counting them quickly, then nods. There's no haggling, no protracted discussion of cost. It's a fair exchange, a mutually understood value for skilled labor. The laundress clutches her newly restored umbrella, her grip tight, as if afraid it might escape. She dips her head in a gesture of profound thanks, then turns and leaves, her steps lighter than when she arrived. You can almost hear the quiet sigh of relief from her, knowing she can face the Parisian rain once more. It's a beautiful moment, seeing the direct impact of Jean-Pierre's work on someone's life. Did you know that during the 19th century in many parts of Europe, it was considered impolite to open an umbrella indoors? There were superstitions associated with it, believed to bring bad luck. So, while Jean-Pierre might open umbrellas to check his work, you'd rarely see a Parisian doing so in a cafe or a shop. It's a curious little social quirk, isn't it? Imagine stepping into a crowded indoor market with a dripping umbrella. The horror. Soon after the laundress leaves, the young boy from earlier returns, his eyes wide with a mix of hope and trepidation. He looks at Jean-Pierre, then at the workbench, his gaze darting to the small, patched umbrella. Jean-Pierre picks it up and extends it to the boy. "Here," he says, his voice softer than usual. "It is fixed." The boy takes the umbrella, his fingers tracing the bright blue patch, then the mended handle. He tries to open it and it glides smoothly. A gasp of pure, unadulterated joy escapes him. He looks up at Jean-Pierre, his face alight. "Thank you, monsieur, thank you," he exclaims, his voice brimming with excitement. He doesn't have any money to offer, but his gratitude is palpable, more valuable than any coin. Jean-Pierre simply nods, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. The boy then does something unexpected. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a single, slightly bruised apple. "For you, monsieur," he says, offering it with a shy smile. "From my mother's stall." Jean-Pierre looks at the apple, then at the boy. He takes the apple, his fingers gently brushing the boy's. "Merci, mon petit," he says, his voice a little rough with emotion. "Merci." It's a small gift, a simple gesture, but it's clear it touches him deeply. He places the apple carefully on his workbench, a vibrant splash of red against the muted tones of his tools. It's a reminder that his work, though humble, creates connections, fosters quiet appreciation, and brings moments of genuine happiness. He probably wouldn't trade that apple for anything. Well, maybe for a really fancy new needle, but definitely not for money. The boy, clutching his mended umbrella, skips out of the workshop, his laughter echoing faintly down the street. Jean-Pierre stands for a moment, watching him go, a contemplative expression on his face. He then turns back to his workbench, picking up a new, broken umbrella that has been dropped off during his work. It's a simple, black one with a broken rib. The rhythm of his day resumes, the quiet industry returning. But the warmth of the boy's gratitude, the bright blue patch, and the small, bruised apple remain, a quiet testament to the enduring human connection that underpins even the most solitary of trades. It's a gentle reminder that even in the gritty realities of 19th century Paris, small acts of kindness bloom, like quiet flowers in the cobblestones. The small, bruised apple sits on Jean-Pierre's workbench, a silent, colorful testament to the morning's unexpected moment of warmth. He continues his work, the gentle scraping and clinking of his tools returning to their steady rhythm. The sun, now higher in the Parisian sky, casts a brighter, if still diffused, light into the workshop, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air like tiny, golden specks. He is now focused on the simple black umbrella, methodically replacing the broken rib. His movements are precise, efficient, the kind of fluid grace that only comes from years of dedicated practice. He doesn't seem to notice the apple much now, but you know it's there, a quiet anchor to a moment of genuine connection. He selects a new rib from his collection, testing its flexibility, its strength. He then carefully measures and cuts it to the exact length, using a small, specialized saw. The sawdust, fine as powder, floats briefly in the air before settling on his workbench, adding another layer to the accumulated history of his work. He then attaches the new rib to the umbrella frame, using tiny, delicate pliers to secure it with a small rivet. The click of the rivet, sharp and definitive, marks another small victory in his ongoing battle against entropy. You can almost hear the umbrella sighing in relief, its skeletal structure now complete. As he works, you notice a small, framed photograph tucked into a corner of the shelf above his workbench. It's a slightly faded, sepia-toned image of a young woman, her smile gentle and kind, her eyes holding a quiet warmth. You suspect this is the woman whose memory sometimes brings a faint, almost imperceptible smile to his lips. Perhaps his late wife, a cherished memory that quietly infuses his solitary existence. It's a poignant detail, a glimpse into the unspoken personal narrative of a man who rarely expresses his emotions outwardly. It suggests a depth of feeling beneath his quiet exterior, a reminder that even the most stoic individuals carry their own private landscapes of love and loss. He probably talks to it sometimes, too, in the silent language of the heart. Another one fixed, my dear. Historians still debate the average lifespan of an umbrella in 19th century Paris. Was it a disposable item, or was it expected to last for many years? Said down through generations. The answer likely lies somewhere in the middle, depending on the quality of the umbrella and the owner's economic standing. For many, an umbrella was a significant investment, making the services of someone like Jean-Pierre absolutely essential for extending its life. Imagine having to buy a new umbrella every time a gust of wind decided to wage war on it. Your budget would be blown faster than a flimsy canopy in a gale. The door opens again and a well-dressed woman enters, her face a picture of impatience. She carries a delicate lace-trimmed parasol, its fabric torn in a rather dramatic fashion. It's clearly an ornamental piece, more for fashion than for function, a symbol of leisure and status. She is a woman of means, accustomed to things being done quickly and to her specifications. "Monsieur," she announces, her voice a little sharp, "my parasol. It was caught on a carriage wheel. I need it by tomorrow evening for the promenade." She doesn't ask if it can be fixed, only when it will be ready. Jean-Pierre looks at the parasol, then at the woman. He doesn't react to her imperious tone. He simply takes the parasol, his eyes assessing the damage with his usual calm professionalism. The tear in the delicate lace is intricate, requiring a different approach than the sturdy canvas of the laundress's umbrella. This is a job for finesse, for artistry, not brute force. He hums softly, a sound that might almost be a contemplative sigh. He probably finds these delicate, ornamental pieces a little exasperating, given their tendency to break so easily. But a job is a job. "It is delicate work, madame," he states, his voice even and precise. "It will take time." He doesn't promise it by tomorrow evening. He's a man of integrity. He will not compromise on the quality of his work, even for an impatient customer. You can almost see the gears turning in his head, calculating the hours, the intricate stitches, the careful handling required for such a fragile piece. The woman's expression tightens. "But monsieur, I told you I need it for the promenade." She taps her foot impatiently, a faint rustle of her silk dress accompanying the movement. She's clearly not used to being told no or being made to wait. Jean-Pierre simply looks at her, his gaze steady, unyielding. He doesn't raise his voice, doesn't argue, he just waits. The silence stretches, filled only by the distant sounds of the street. It's a quiet power he wields, the power of a skilled craftsman who knows his worth and the value of his time. He's not rude, just firm, asserting his boundaries with a quiet dignity. You can almost hear him thinking. You want it fixed properly, you wait for it properly. Finally, the woman sighs, a dramatic flourish of exasperation. "Very well," she concedes, her voice grudging. "But do not make me wait longer than necessary." She then leaves, her heels clicking sharply on the cobblestones outside, leaving a faint scent of expensive perfume lingering in the air, a stark contrast to the workshop's more earthy aromas. Jean-Pierre remains still for a moment, then turns back to his workbench, picking up the lace parasol. He examines it more closely, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. Perhaps he enjoys the challenge, the delicate dance of mending such a fragile object. Or perhaps he's just thinking about how much trouble people go to for fashion. The delicate lace parasol lies on Jean-Pierre's workbench, a stark contrast to the sturdy umbrellas he usually repairs. The challenge of it, however, seems to invigorate him. He meticulously examines the intricate tier, his magnifying glass hovering over the delicate threads. He chooses a needle so fine it's almost invisible, and a thread that matches the lace so perfectly you'd swear it was woven by fairies. This isn't simply patching. This is restoration, an act of almost surgical precision. He's a bit like a lace surgeon, but without the fancy scrubs or the blinding lights. He begins to stitch, his movements even more precise than usual, his breath held almost imperceptibly. He works slowly, deliberately, weaving the new thread through the existing lace, mimicking the original pattern. It's a meditative process, requiring immense focus and an unwavering hand. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the quiet intensity of his concentration. One wrong move, one misplaced stitch, and the delicate fabric could tear further, making the repair even more difficult, perhaps even ruining it entirely. He doesn't rush, though the memory of the impatient woman's request for speed likely lingers in the back of his mind. Quality for Jean-Pierre always comes first. He probably thinks that if you want it done right, you have to do it right, regardless of what some fancy lady says. The afternoon sun, now a pale gold, streams through the workshop window, illuminating the fine threads and the dust motes. It's a beautiful light, soft and diffuse. Perfect for such delicate work. He hums softly again, a quiet, almost inaudible tune, a melody of concentration and calm. It's a stark contrast to the hurried, bustling pace of the streets outside. Inside his workshop, time seems to slow down, governed by the rhythm of his hands and the demands of his craft. He's in his own world here, a sanctuary of meticulous mending. Did you know that some 19th century parasols were so elaborately decorated that they included intricate embroidery, painted scenes, and even carved ivory handles? They were considered true works of art, reflecting the social status and artistic sensibilities of their owners. This particular lace parasol, while not as grand as some, certainly falls into that category of fashionable accessory, designed to impress as much as to protect from the sun. Gendarme is essentially restoring a miniature canvas, a very delicate and expensive one. He's probably thinking, these people and their frivolous accessories, but secretly he might enjoy the challenge. As he works, the sound of carriage wheels clattering on the cobblestones outside becomes more frequent, signaling the peak of the afternoon's activity. The cries of street vendors are louder, more insistent. A distant barrel organ plays a jaunty, if slightly off-key tune. It's the vibrant symphony of Parisian life, a constant backdrop to Gendarme's quiet industry. He seems oblivious to it all, completely absorbed in the tiny, intricate world of the lace parasol. He's in the zone, as they say, utterly absorbed in the task at hand. He pauses, leaning back slightly, stretching his neck. He reaches for his spectacles, pushing them higher on his nose. His eyes, though tired, are sharp, examining the mended section of lace. He pulls out a small, almost invisible pair of scissors, their blades glinting in the light. He trims a microscopic stray thread, a perfectionist's touch. The mend is truly remarkable, almost impossible to detect unless you know exactly where to look. It's a testament to his mastery, his dedication to his craft, even when dealing with something as seemingly trivial as a fashionable parasol. He's practically a magician, making broken things disappear. He then begins to reattach the lace canopy to the frame, using tiny, delicate stitches. The frame itself is made of lightweight metal, intricately worked, suggesting it too is of high quality. He works carefully, ensuring the lace is evenly stretched without any puckers or wrinkles. The overall effect is one of seamless restoration, as if the tear had never happened. The impatient lady will be quite surprised, you think, perhaps even a little embarrassed by her earlier demands. He's going above and beyond, not just fixing it, but making it truly pristine. A small, thin man with a wispy mustache and spectacles enters the workshop, carrying a rather large, heavy leather valise. He looks like a traveling salesman, perhaps, or a bookseller. He clears his throat nervously. "Pardon, monsieur," he begins, his voice a little reedy. I was told you are the finest mender in Paris." He then proceeds to pull out not one, but 3 broken umbrellas from his valise, each with a different ailment. One has a completely collapsed frame, another a ripped silk canopy, and the third, surprisingly, a broken handle carved into the shape of a lion's head. Gendarme, ever the stoic, simply looks at the array of broken umbrellas. His eyes, however, betray a faint spark of something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps a hint of a challenge. He picks up the lion-headed umbrella, examining the intricate carving. "These will take time," he states, his voice low and even, a familiar refrain. He's not going to be rushed, even by a man with 3 broken umbrellas. The salesman probably expected him to just nod and agree, but Gendarme operates on his own timeline, a timeline dictated by quality and craftsmanship, not by the whims of Parisian society. He's probably thinking, 3 at once? Did a hurricane just pass through your house, my friend? The small workshop is now filled with the silent presence of 3 new patients, laid out on Gendarme's secondary bench, awaiting triage. The lion-headed umbrella, with its surprisingly intricate handle, seems to command the most attention from him. He finishes the delicate lace parasol, his final touches as meticulous as the first. He then stands back, surveying his handiwork with a faint, almost imperceptible nod of satisfaction. It's ready for the impatient lady, a testament to his skill and his commitment to even the most demanding of repairs. He probably sighs internally, relieved to be done with such a fragile and high-pressure job. He places the parasol carefully on the display rack, its delicate lace looking pristine, almost as if it had never been damaged. Then, his attention shifts fully to the new arrivals. He starts with the lion-headed umbrella, examining the broken handle more closely. The break is clean, a fracture in the wood itself, rather than a mere detachment. This will require a different approach, perhaps some reinforcement. He picks up a small, specialized chisel and a tiny mallet, his fingers already anticipating the subtle movements required. He's a bit like a detective, analyzing the crime scene, but instead of finding a culprit, he's finding the best path to restoration. He begins to carefully shave down the edges of the broken wood, creating a smooth, flat surface for rejoining. The faint scent of wood shavings fills the air, a natural, earthy aroma that mingles with the other scents of the workshop. It's a comforting smell, a sign of honest labor. He works with a quiet concentration, his brow furrowed, his tongue sometimes peeking out from the corner of his mouth, a telltale sign of deep focus. This isn't just a job, it's a puzzle, a challenge that engages his mind as much as his hands. He probably enjoys these more complex repairs the most, the ones that really test his ingenuity. Did you know that the use of animal heads as umbrella handles became quite fashionable in the late 19th century, particularly among the upper classes? Lions, dogs, ducks, and even fantastical creatures were popular motifs, often intricately carved from wood, ivory, or silver. They were status symbols, a way to display wealth and taste, and probably gave Gendarme quite a few interesting repair jobs over the years. Imagine trying to find a perfectly matching lion's ear to reattach. The thought alone is enough to give you a headache. As he works, the first faint whispers of twilight begin to creep into the workshop, softening the edges of the room. The gas lamp is still unlit, as Gendarme tries to utilize natural light for as long as possible. The sounds from the street are starting to change, the workday hustle slowly giving way to the evening's more leisurely pace. Distant laughter, the strumming of a guitar, and the occasional burst of song drift in through the open door. Paris, even in its working-class districts, knows how to relax. He applies a strong wood glue to the prepared surfaces of the lion-headed handle, pressing them together firmly. He then secures the join with a small, specialized clamp, designed to apply even pressure while the glue sets. He'll leave it to dry overnight, ensuring a strong, lasting bond. This is the patience required in his trade, the understanding that some processes cannot be rushed. It's a lesson in delayed gratification, something we could all probably learn a little more about in our instant gratification world. He probably just shrugs and thinks, "It will be ready when it's ready." Next, he turns his attention to the umbrella with the completely collapsed frame. This one is a more structural challenge, requiring the careful dismantling of the entire mechanism. He uses a series of small screwdrivers and pliers, loosening tiny screws, carefully separating the interconnected parts. He lays them out on his workbench in a methodical fashion, like a surgeon preparing for a complex operation, each piece in its designated spot. He knows the anatomy of an umbrella intimately, every spring, every joint, every tiny rivet. He can probably assemble one blindfolded. Historians sometimes debate the exact origins of the umbrella frame. While umbrellas have existed for centuries, the development of lightweight, collapsible metal frames in the 19th century was a significant advancement, making umbrellas much more portable and widely accessible. This technological evolution certainly kept umbrella menders like Gendarme busy, as these new mechanisms, while convenient, were also prone to breakage. So, in a way, Gendarme was on the front lines of a minor technological revolution, fixing the unforeseen consequences of innovation. He hums again that soft, tuneless melody as he carefully examines each component of the collapsed frame. A bent strut here, a broken spring there, a loose rivet. He methodically sets aside the pieces that need replacement or repair. He works with a quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing exactly what needs to be done. It's a testament to his expertise, his years of experience navigating the countless intricacies of umbrella mechanics. He probably thinks, another day, another broken frame, but this one has character. He picks up a small, worn stone, a sharpening stone, and begins to hone the edge of a tiny, delicate blade, making a soft, rhythmic scraping sound. It's a familiar sound in the workshop, a reminder of the constant need for sharp tools for precision. He takes pride in his instruments, keeping them in perfect condition, knowing they are extensions of his own skilled hands. He probably has a favorite tool, too, one that fits his hand just right and has seen countless repairs. A silent partner in his daily endeavors. The scraping sound of the sharpening stone continues for a few moments, a gentle, rhythmic hum th. It settles the quiet of the workshop. Gendarme meticulously hones the small blade, his movements precise and practiced. A sharp tool, he knows, is essential for delicate work, for the clean cuts and precise adjustments that define his craft. He's preparing for the next stage of repairing the collapsed umbrella frame, where every millimeter matters. He probably feels a quiet satisfaction in the perfectly honed edge, a sense of readiness for the intricate tasks ahead. With the blade sharpened, he turns his attention back to the dismantled umbrella frame. He carefully replaces the bent strut, selecting a new one from a neatly organized bin of spare parts. He then uses tiny pliers to meticulously reattach the various springs and joints, his fingers nimble and adept, even after decades of such intricate work. You can almost hear the faint clicks and snaps as the components slot back into place, a miniature orchestra of mechanical restoration. He works with an almost surgical precision, each movement economical, purposeful. He's reanimating a skeleton, breathing new life into a broken mechanism. As he works, the sounds of evening in Paris begin to grow more distinct. The distant rumble of the last carriages of the day, the fading cries of vendors, replaced by the softer murmur of conversations, the occasional burst of laughter from a nearby cafe. The air carries the faint scent of roasting coffee and wood smoke, mingling with the workshop's familiar aromas of old fabric and metal. It's a comforting blend, the smells of a city winding down, preparing for its brief slumber. He probably finds these evening sounds more relaxing, a gentle lullaby to his focused work. Did you know that the iconic Parisian cafe culture truly blossomed in the 19th century, with cafes serving as vital hubs for social interaction, intellectual debate, and artistic exchange? While Gendarme likely spent his evenings at home, these bustling establishments were a cornerstone of Parisian life, offering warmth, conversation, and strong coffee or absinthe. Perhaps one of his customers might even recount a wild story about leaving their umbrella behind at a particularly boisterous cafe. Monsieur Gendarme, you simply won't believe the scandalous evening this umbrella endured. Jean-Pierre pauses, leaning back in his chair, a faint sigh escaping him. He rubs his eyes with a calloused thumb and forefinger. He's been working steadily for hours, and the strain of such meticulous labor is beginning to show. But it's not a sigh of complaint, more a momentary release of tension, a brief respite before diving back into the intricacies of the frame. He reaches for his chipped ceramic mug, taking a long, slow sip of its contents, now undoubtedly cold. It's a small, solitary moment of rest, a punctuation mark in the steady flow of his work. He then turns his attention to the third umbrella the salesman brought in, the one with the ripped silk canopy. This will be his final task for the day, a less intricate but still demanding repair. He carefully inspects the tier, running his fingers along the delicate fabric. It's a clean rip, suggesting it caught on something sharp. He'll need to find a matching silk, or at least one that blends seamlessly. He opens a large, flat drawer beneath his workbench, revealing an astonishing array of fabric scraps, organized by color and texture. It's a textile treasure trove, accumulated over decades of repairs, each piece holding a fragment of some past umbrella's story. He sifts through the silks, his fingers expertly feeling the different weights and weaves. He pulls out a small piece of dark blue silk, holding it up to the light, comparing it to the torn canopy. It's a perfect match, a testament to his discerning eye and his well-stocked inventory. He's a bit like a textile archivist, keeping track of every shade and weave imaginable. He probably knows the exact history of each and every one of those scraps. Ah, yes, this piece of red velvet came from the umbrella of a rather boisterous opera singer back in '58. He cuts a patch, slightly larger than the tier, using his sharpest shears. He then begins to prepare the torn edges of the canopy, carefully fraying them slightly to allow for an almost invisible mend. This is the true artistry of his craft, the ability to seamlessly integrate a new piece of fabric, making it disappear into the original. He's not just patching, he's performing a textile illusion. It's the kind of subtle skill that goes largely unnoticed by the casual observer, but is deeply appreciated by those who understand the nuances of true craftsmanship. He probably takes quiet pride in the fact that most people won't even know he's worked on it. A small, plump tabby cat, its fur a rich ginger, suddenly saunters into the workshop from the upstairs door, rubbing against Jean-Pierre's legs with a contented purr. It's an unexpected, delightful detail, a glimpse of the domestic side of his life. Jean-Pierre reaches down, scratching the cat behind its ears, a rare, soft smile touching his lips. The cat stretches languidly, then curls up on a patch of sunlight on the floor, settling in for a nap. It's a quiet moment of companionship, a warm presence in his otherwise solitary workday. He probably enjoys the cat's silent company, a calming influence in the sometimes stressful world of broken umbrellas. "Hello, Napoleon," he might murmur. "Still napping on the job, I see." The ginger cat, Napoleon, now a warm, purring lump on the floor, adds a soft, domestic counterpoint to the methodical sounds of Jean-Pierre's work. The workshop, still bathed in the gentle, fading light of late afternoon, holds a quiet serenity. Jean-Pierre continues his meticulous work on the ripped silk canopy, his fingers dancing across the delicate fabric with practiced ease. The needle, a mere whisper in his hands, weaves in and out, creating stitches so fine they are almost invisible. He is in his element, absorbed in the intricate details of his craft. He works with a magnifying glass held close to the fabric, scrutinizing each stitch, ensuring perfection. The tier, once a gaping wound, is slowly closing, the new silk blending seamlessly with the old. It's a testament to his precision, his unwavering commitment to quality. He's not just fixing it, he's making it whole again, erasing the visible scars of its past. He's practically a fabric whisperer, coaxing the threads back into their rightful place. He probably sees the beauty in every stitch, every tiny knot. You notice the rhythmic ticking of a grandfather clock from the upstairs apartment, a deep, resonant sound that marks the slow passage of time. It's a comforting sound, a steady heartbeat to the quiet life of Jean-Pierre, a reminder of the domestic world waiting for him after his day's work is done. It adds a layer of continuity, a sense that life unfolds in predictable rhythms, even in a bustling city like Paris. It's the kind of sound that makes you feel cozy, even if you're just an invisible observer. Did you know that the popularity of silk umbrellas surged in the mid-19th century due to advancements in silk production and dyeing techniques? Silk was prized for its luxurious feel and ability to hold vibrant colors, making it a favorite for fashionable umbrellas and parasols. However, it was also notoriously delicate, providing plenty of work for skilled menders like Jean-Pierre. So, in a way, the fashion trends of the time directly influenced his daily workload. He probably had very strong opinions on the impracticality of some of those fashionable choices. Silk and a gale force wind. Mon Dieu, what were they thinking? Jean-Pierre pauses, stretching his fingers, then takes a deep, cleansing breath. He reaches for his chipped mug, takes a sip of his now cold beverage, and then with a renewed focus returns to the umbrella. He meticulously trims any tiny stray threads, then presses the mend with a small, heated iron, further smoothing the fabric and making the repair even less noticeable. It's the kind of finishing touch that elevates his work from good to exceptional. He's not satisfied until it's truly perfect. A sudden commotion from the street outside breaks the workshop's quiet. The sound of raised voices, a crash, and then the frantic clatter of hooves. Jean-Pierre looks up, his expression briefly concerned, then shrugs, a resigned acceptance of the unpredictable nature of urban life. He doesn't move from his workbench, not even a flinch. He is a man accustomed to the chaos of Paris, and he knows that most street incidents resolve themselves quickly. It's simply the background noise of his existence. He probably thinks, oh, just another Tuesday in Paris. Historians often discuss the social dynamics of 19th century street life in Paris. The streets were vibrant, chaotic, and often dangerous places, filled with a diverse array of characters, from street performers and vendors to pickpockets and political agitators. Jean-Pierre's quiet workshop offers a small haven from this constant churn, a sanctuary of order amidst the urban disarray. He's a man who has learned to carve out his own peaceful space in a very unpeaceful world. It's a valuable skill, really, that ability to find calm in the storm. He finishes the silk umbrella, holding it up to the waning light. The mend is truly remarkable, almost invisible. He opens and closes it a few times, testing the mechanism, ensuring it works smoothly. The silk shimmers in the dim light, its dark blue hue restored to its former glory. He gives a quiet nod of satisfaction. Another object saved, another customer, albeit an impatient one, satisfied. He places it gently on the finished rack, a silent testament to his enduring skill. As the light outside fades completely, and the gas lamp becomes the sole source of illumination, Jean-Pierre begins his evening ritual of tidying. He puts away his tools, sweeps the tiny fabric scraps and dust into a small pile, and wipes down his workbench. Each movement is deliberate, precise, a calming way to end the day. The workshop, once a hive of quiet industry, slowly transforms into a serene, ordered space, ready for the next morning's work. The cat, Napoleon, stretches and yawns, then hops onto the workbench, settling into a comfortable spot near Jean-Pierre's hand. Jean-Pierre reaches out, stroking the cat's head, a rare, tender gesture. The cat purrs loudly, its rumbling a soft accompaniment to the quiet in the room. He closes his ledger, carefully placing it back on the shelf. He then extinguishes the gas lamp, plunging the workshop into near darkness, save for the faint glow filtering in from the streetlights. He walks towards the door to the upstairs apartment, his footsteps soft, almost silent. He pauses at the doorway, looking back at his tools, at the quiet room. It's a silent farewell to his day, a moment of peaceful contemplation. The door closes softly behind him, leaving the workshop in darkness, the ghost of industry lingering in the air. The sounds of Paris, though muffled, continue their nightly symphony outside. You are left in the stillness, surrounded by the quiet hum of a craftsman's life, the lingering scent of silk and metal, and the faint, almost imperceptible purr of a contented cat. It's a gentle, reassuring silence, promising another day of quiet dedication and meticulous mending. The next morning, the Parisian sky is surprisingly clear, a pale, watery blue hinting at a brighter day. Sunlight, crisp and cool, streams through Jean-Pierre's workshop window, illuminating the dust motes in golden shafts. The room, however, still holds the faint, comforting scent of stale coffee and the lingering aroma of the previous day's waterproofing wax. The tools lie waiting, silent witnesses to the quiet rhythms of the mender's life. It's a fresh start, a blank canvas for another day of restoring broken things. You can almost feel the anticipation in the air, the quiet hum of potential. Jean-Pierre enters from the upstairs apartment, his movements a little stiffer than yesterday, perhaps, but still purposeful. He doesn't speak, merely nods to the empty space, a silent greeting to his domain. He walks directly to his workbench, his eyes already assessing the day's tasks. He's a man of habit, finding comfort and efficiency in the established routines of his life. He probably has his morning ritual down to a science, a perfectly choreographed dance of opening shutters, arranging tools, and mentally preparing for the day ahead. He opens the heavy wooden shutters, letting in even more of the crisp morning light. The workshop instantly feels brighter, more awake. He then lights the gas lamp, not for illumination, but for a moment to check its functionality, then extinguishes it again, preferring the natural light for as long as possible. He values the honest light of day, the clarity it brings to his intricate work. He then turns his attention to the 3 umbrellas left by the traveling salesman. The lion-headed one, its handle now securely glued, is his first priority. He carefully removes the clamp, testing the bond with gentle pressure. It holds firm, a testament to his skill and the quality of his glue. He then sets about reinforcing the mend, wrapping the repaired section of the handle with a fine, dark leather strip, carefully stitched into place. This adds both strength and a decorative element, a subtle embellishment that shows his attention to detail. The leather is soft, supple, its rich scent adding another layer to the workshop's sensory tapestry. He uses a special curved needle for this, its tip sharp enough to pierce the tough leather, his fingers expertly guiding it. It's a small, elegant touch that elevates the repair beyond mere functionality. He's not just fixing it, he's making it better, more resilient, perhaps even more beautiful than before. He's a true craftsman, not just a repairman. As he works, the first sounds of morning life from the street begin to filter in. The clatter of milk carts, the distant cries of a vegetable vendor, the insistent pealing of a church bell. These are the familiar background noises of Parisian life, a constant reminder of the bustling world just beyond his quiet sanctuary. He seems to barely notice them, So absorbed is he in the intricate world of the lion-headed handle. He's in his own zone, a bubble of concentration. You could probably have a brass band marching through the street, and he'd still be meticulously stitching. Did you know that the chiffoniers, or rag pickers, were a common sight in 19th century Paris? They roamed the streets, collecting discarded items, rags, paper, metal, and sometimes even broken umbrellas, which they would then sort and sell for recycling. It's a fascinating glimpse into the early days of recycling and resourcefulness in a pre-industrialized society. Jean-Pierre, in his own way, is also a part of this ethos of reuse and repair, giving new life to objects that might otherwise be discarded. He's probably had a few choice words with a chiffonier who tried to snatch a perfectly salvageable umbrella from a rubbish heap. Hands off, my friend. That's a future masterpiece. He finishes the lion-headed handle, holding it up to the light, admiring his work. The leather wrap is seamless, the stitches almost invisible. It's a beautiful repair, a true testament to his skill. He places it carefully on the finished rack, ready for the salesman's return. He then turns his attention to the umbrella with the completely collapsed frame. He begins the slow, methodical process of reassembling it, piece by delicate piece. He has already replaced the broken parts, and now it's a matter of putting the puzzle back together, ensuring every spring, every joint, every pivot works in perfect harmony. He uses tiny pliers to tighten small screws, his fingers nimble and precise. The metallic clicks and whirs as the frame slowly takes shape are the sounds of resurrection, of a broken object finding its form again. It's a complex dance of small components, requiring both patience and an intimate understanding of the mechanism. You might think, oh, it's just an umbrella, but for Jean-Pierre, each one is a miniature engineering marvel, a challenge to be overcome. He's essentially a tiny clockmaker, but for rain protection, and probably with fewer tiny gears to worry about, thankfully. Historians sometimes debate the social impact of widespread umbrella ownership in 19th century cities. Did it contribute to a more individualistic society, allowing people to brave the elements independently rather than seeking communal shelter? Or was it simply a practical innovation that improved daily life? It's one of those delightful academic arguments that probably keeps scholars busy for years. Jean-Pierre, of course, is too busy mending to ponder such philosophical questions. He just knows people want dry heads. The meticulous reassembly of the collapsed umbrella frame continues, a slow, deliberate dance of metal and tiny components under Jean-Pierre's skilled hands. The workshop hums with a quiet intensity, punctuated by the faint clicks and precise movements of his tools. The morning light, now a steady, gentle glow, illuminates the intricate network of springs and levers, transforming them into a miniature cityscape of engineering. He is utterly absorbed, his brow furrowed in concentration, his gaze unwavering. He's putting the puzzle back together, piece by painstaking piece, ensuring that every element aligns perfectly. You watch as he reattaches the main spring, a crucial component that allows the umbrella to open and close with a satisfying snap. He tests its tension, adjusting it slightly with a small, specialized tool until it feels just right. It's a nuanced adjustment, requiring a feel for the mechanism that can only come from decades of experience. He's tuning an instrument, ensuring every note is perfectly pitched. He probably knows exactly how much tension is too much, and how much is too little just by the feel of it. It's a truly intuitive skill. As he works, the faint, comforting aroma of fresh bread begins to waft into the workshop from a nearby bakery. It's a delicious scent, warm and yeasty, a momentary distraction from the metallic tang of his work. You can almost hear your own stomach rumble in sympathy, imagining the crusty baguettes and sweet pastries that are now being pulled from hot ovens. He, however, remains oblivious, his focus unwavering. For Jean-Pierre, the symphony of smells and sounds from the street is simply background noise, a constant, familiar presence that he has long since learned to filter out. Did you know that the invention of the steel-ribbed umbrella in the mid-19th century was a significant innovation? Before that, whalebone or cane was commonly used, which, while flexible, wasn't as durable or lightweight as steel. This technological shift likely changed the nature of umbrella mending, requiring new tools and techniques for working with metal. Jean-Pierre, being a master craftsman, would have adapted seamlessly, always learning, always improving his skills. He's a lifelong learner, even if his classroom is a dusty workshop and his textbooks are broken umbrellas. He's probably seen every innovation come and go and fixed them all. He finally completes the reassembly of the frame. He holds it up, opening and closing it several times, listening for any creaks or hitches, feeling for any resistance. It works smoothly, silently, perfectly. A faint smile touches his lips, a rare but unmistakable sign of satisfaction. He then sets about attaching a new canopy to the restored frame. The salesman's umbrella was a sturdy, dark green cotton, so Jean-Pierre selects a similar material from his fabric drawer, ensuring a cohesive and functional repair. He's not just fixing it, he's bringing it back to its original glory, or as close as possible. He lays the fabric flat, carefully aligning it with the frame, and begins to stitch it into place. This is a more straightforward process than the delicate lace or the intricate frame, but it still requires precision and care. He uses a robust needle and strong waxed thread, ensuring the canopy will withstand the elements. His stitches are even, strong, a testament to his unwavering dedication to durability. He's building it to last, to face many more Parisian downpours. He probably hums a little tune as he works, a quiet song of contentment. A knock at the door, soft but firm, announces a new customer. A young woman stands hesitantly in the doorway, clutching a small, rather dainty parasol. Her face is flushed and she looks distressed. "Monsieur Jean-Pierre," she says, her voice trembling slightly, I was so clumsy. I dropped it and the handle, it snapped." She holds out the parasol, its handle made of delicate porcelain broken in 2 clean pieces. It's a beautiful piece, clearly expensive, adorned with hand-painted flowers. Jean-Pierre takes the broken parasol, his expression unreadable. He examines the porcelain pieces, tracing the clean break with his thumb. This is a different kind of repair, one that requires not just his usual skill, but also a delicate touch, an understanding of fragile materials. He's a master of many trades, it seems, not just fabric and metal. He's probably thinking, porcelain now. What next, crystal? Historians often debate the role of repair culture in 19th century society compared to our modern throwaway culture. In an era before mass production and widespread affordability, mending was often the most economical and practical option. Skilled craftsmen like Jean-Pierre were essential for maintaining household goods and clothing, playing a vital role in the domestic economy. His workshop is a living testament to a time when things were built to last, and when broken things were given a second life, not just relegated to a landfill. It makes you wonder if we've lost something valuable in our pursuit of convenience. Jean-Pierre looks at the young woman, then back at the broken porcelain. He doesn't offer false hope, but he doesn't dismiss her. "Porcelain is difficult," he states, his voice low. "It will take time and it may not be invisible, He is honest, setting expectations from the outset. He doesn't want to promise something he cannot deliver. The young woman nods, her face still anxious. "I understand, monsieur. Just please, if you can. It was a gift from my grandmother." Her voice is pleading, and Jean-Pierre, ever the quiet observer of human emotion, seems to sense the deep sentimental value attached to the broken object. He gives a small, almost imperceptible nod. He accepts the challenge, not for the money, perhaps, but for the quiet satisfaction of restoring a cherished memory. The broken porcelain parasol handle presents a new challenge for Jean-Pierre, a departure from his usual fabric and metal work. He sets aside the salesman's umbrella for a moment, turning his full attention to the delicate, hand-painted pieces. The young woman's plea, the mention of her grandmother, seems to have resonated with him, imbuing the repair with a deeper significance. This isn't just about mending an object. It's about restoring a piece of family history, a tangible link to a cherished past. He's becoming a guardian of memories, a silent curator of sentiment. He carefully cleans the broken edges of the porcelain, using a tiny brush and a specialized cleaning solution. He's meticulously removing any dust or residue that might interfere with a strong bond. He then selects a specific type of adhesive, a strong, clear resin, designed for delicate materials. He applies it sparingly to one of the broken surfaces, his hand steady, his movements precise. He aligns the two pieces with utmost care, pressing them together firmly, holding them in place for a long, quiet moment. His concentration is absolute, his breath held almost imperceptibly. This is not just a repair, it's an act of delicate craftsmanship, a blend of science and art. As he waits for the adhesive to set, he looks around his workshop, his gaze lingering on the various tools, the piles of fabric, the mended umbrellas on the rack. It's a quiet moment of reflection, a silent acknowledgement of the countless objects that have passed through his hands, each with its own story, its own journey of breakage and restoration. He's a living repository of these small, intimate histories, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of Parisian life. He probably sees the history of Paris reflected in the very objects he mends. Ah, the great hailstorm of '62, that was a busy week. Did you know that many traditional craftspeople in 19th century Paris had apprentices who lived and worked with them, learning the trade through years of hands-on expertise? These apprenticeships were a vital part of transmitting specialized skills from one generation to the next, ensuring the continuity of crafts like umbrella mending. Jean-Pierre, in his quiet solitude, seems to operate without an apprentice, perhaps due to the changing times, or perhaps simply by choice. You wonder if he ever considered taking on a young protege, someone to pass on his intricate knowledge to. Perhaps he finds solace in his solitary work, or maybe the demands of the trade have simply changed. The afternoon sun, now a warm, golden hue, streams through the workshop window, illuminating the delicate porcelain pieces as they dry. He secures the mend with a few small, almost invisible clamps, ensuring the bond is strong and the alignment perfect. He then carefully wipes away any excess adhesive, leaving the surface smooth and clean. He'll leave it to cure for several hours, perhaps even overnight, ensuring a durable, lasting repair. He understands the importance of patience, of allowing the materials to do their work in their own time. He then turns back to the salesman's remaining umbrella, the one with the ripped silk canopy. He begins the delicate process of attaching the new silk to the frame, his fingers moving with practiced ease. The fabric, soft and luxurious, drapes elegantly over the ribs as he stitches it into place. He uses a fine, sharp needle, creating almost invisible seams, ensuring the repair is as seamless as possible. This is his familiar territory, the comfortable rhythm of fabric and thread, a welcome return to routine after the challenge of the porcelain. A distant murmur of voices, growing louder, signals the approach of children from school, their laughter and excited chatter echoing through the street. It's a cheerful sound, a fleeting burst of youthful energy in the otherwise quiet neighborhood. Jean-Pierre doesn't look up, but a faint, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. He probably remembers his own childhood, the carefree days before the responsibilities of a trade settled upon his shoulders. He's a man who observes, who feels, even if he doesn't express it outwardly. Historians sometimes debate the exact nature of childhood in 19th century Paris. Was it a period of innocent play, or were children often expected to contribute to the family income from a young age? The reality was likely a complex mix, varying greatly depending on social class and family circumstances. For many working-class families, children's labor was essential, but moments of unburdened play, like the sounds of the children outside, were undoubtedly cherished. He finishes the silk umbrella, holding it up to the light, turning it slowly, admiring his handiwork. The mend is truly exceptional, the new fabric blending so perfectly that it's almost impossible to tell where the tier once was. He gives a quiet nod of satisfaction, then places it on the rack alongside the lion-headed umbrella, awaiting the salesman's return. He then begins his evening ritual of tidying, sweeping the floor, wiping down his workbench, and putting away his tools. The gas lamp is lit as the twilight deepens, casting a warm, golden glow over the workshop. The ginger cat Napoleon saunters in, stretching languidly, then hops onto the workbench, settling near Jean-Pierre's hand. Jean-Pierre reaches out, stroking the cat's fur, a quiet moment of companionship. The cat purrs, a comforting rumble in the quiet room. He then extinguishes the gas lamp, the flame flickering and dying, leaving the workshop in darkness, save for the faint glow from the streetlights. He walks towards the door to the upstairs apartment, his footsteps soft, almost silent. He pauses, looking back at his tools, at the quiet room. It's a silent farewell to his day, a moment of peaceful contemplation. The door closes softly behind him, leaving the workshop in darkness, the quiet hum of a craftsman's life lingering in the air. The following morning brings with it the familiar gray light of a Parisian sky, a soft, diffused glow that filters into Jean-Pierre's workshop. The air is cool, holding the faint, comforting scent of old fabric and the subtle, lingering aroma of the resin used for the porcelain repair. The tools lie silent, waiting for the first touch of their master. It's a fresh start, a new canvas for another day of meticulous mending. The quiet anticipation in the room is almost palpable, a gentle hum of purpose. Jean-Pierre enters from the upstairs apartment, his movements deliberate, unhurried. He carries with him a quiet sense of purpose, a serene focus that seems to envelop him as soon as he steps into his domain. He walks directly to his workbench, his gaze already assessing the day's tasks. His first priority is the porcelain-handled parasol, the one holding so much sentimental value for the young woman. He carefully removes the clamps, his fingers gingerly testing the bond. It holds firm, a seamless join, almost as if it had never been broken. A faint, satisfied hum escapes him. He then turns his attention to the final, delicate touch, the nearly invisible restoration of the hand-painted flowers that had been disrupted by the break. He selects a tiny, almost hair-thin paintbrush and a small palette of ceramic paints, carefully mixing colors to match the original design. This is where his artistry truly shines, a skill that goes beyond mere repair and enters the realm of delicate artistry. He is not just a mender, he is a miniature restorer of beauty. He paints with exquisite precision, his hands steady, his breath held, adding tiny brush strokes that seamlessly blend with the existing artwork. He's practically a counterfeiter of beauty, but for a good cause. As he works, the sounds of morning Paris begin to seep into the workshop. The distant rumble of market carts, the chirping of sparrows, the occasional laughter of passers-by. These are the familiar melodies of the city waking up, a gentle symphony that accompanies Jean-Pierre's quiet concentration. He seems to exist in his own world, a sanctuary of focused labor, oblivious to the bustling life just beyond his door. He's in a zone, a meditative state where only the delicate brushstrokes matter. Did you know that some historians argue that the rise of consumer culture in the 19th century, while creating new markets for goods like umbrellas, also inadvertently fostered a deeper appreciation for craftsmanship and repair? As more items became mass-produced, the value of a handmade, mended object, imbued with the skill of an artisan, might have increased. It's a quirky little debate, isn't it? Whether more stuff means more appreciation or less. He finishes the painting, then steps back, tilting his head to examine his work. The mend is truly remarkable. Unless you knew where to look and looked very, very closely, you would never know the porcelain handle had been broken. The flowers bloom again, vibrant and perfect, as if they had never been interrupted. It's a testament to his incredible skill, his unwavering patience, and his dedication to not just fixing, but truly restoring. He's an unsung artist, working on a very small, very specific canvas. He then gently places the porcelain-handled parasol on a velvet cloth, ready for the young woman's return. He then moves on to the salesman's umbrellas, picking up the reassembled one. He now needs to attach the silk canopy to the reassembled frame. He carefully lays the dark blue silk over the newly restored ribs, meticulously aligning it. He uses a fine needle and strong waxed thread, creating tiny, precise stitches that secure the fabric firmly to the frame. His movements are fluid, efficient, a dance of needle and fabric honed by decades of practice. He's a well-oiled machine, powered by skill and experience. A gentle knock at the door and the traveling salesman reappears, his wispy mustache still twitching slightly with nervousness. He peers into the workshop, his eyes scanning for his 3 umbrellas. Jean-Pierre gestures to the rack where all 3 stand, restored and ready. The lion-headed umbrella gleams, its leather-wrapped handle a testament to its renewed strength. The collapsed frame umbrella stands proudly, its new canopy taut and unblemished. And the silk umbrella, its tier seamlessly mended, looks as good as new. The salesman's eyes widen in disbelief. He hurries over, picking up each umbrella in turn, opening and closing them, testing their mechanisms, examining the repairs. He runs his fingers over the mended silk, scrutinizes the lion's head, and tests the strength of the reassembled frame. A look of profound satisfaction, bordering on awe, spreads across his face. "Monsieur Jean-Pierre," he exclaims, his reedy voice filled with genuine admiration. "You are a miracle worker. These are truly magnificent." He reaches into his large, overflowing coin purse and pays Jean-Pierre handsomely. Not just the agreed-upon price, but a small bonus for the exceptional work. Jean-Pierre accepts the payment with a quiet nod, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. He is not a man who seeks effusive praise, but he undoubtedly appreciates the recognition of his skill and the generosity of the payment. It's a small validation of his quiet dedication. He probably thinks, well, it's just what I do. But for the salesman, it's a small miracle. The salesman, now beaming, carefully gathers his 3 restored umbrellas, bowing slightly as he departs, leaving Jean-Pierre alone once more in the quiet workshop. The faint scent of expensive leather and the lingering aroma of the salesman's cologne briefly fill the air, a reminder of the diverse array of people who seek Jean-Pierre's quiet expertise. He returns to his workbench, picking up a newly arrived umbrella, its fate yet to be determined, its story waiting to be told and mended. The rhythm of his day, a steady, comforting pulse of repair and restoration, continues. The workshop, now bathed in the gentle, diffused light of a Parisian afternoon, returns to its familiar quiet, punctuated only by the subtle sounds of Jean-Pierre's work. He's now focused on a rather ordinary, dark gray umbrella, its main issue a stubborn, rusted mechanism that refuses to open smoothly. This is a common ailment, a testament to the wear and tear of daily use and the often damp Parisian climate. It's a more straightforward repair than the porcelain or the collapsed frame, but it still requires his signature precision and patience. He's a bit like an umbrella doctor, diagnosing the ailment and prescribing the perfect remedy. He applies a small amount of a specialized lubricant to the stiff joints and springs, working it in with a tiny brush. He then gently manipulates the mechanism, opening and closing it repeatedly, gradually working out the rust and freeing the stuck parts. The process is slow, methodical, requiring a delicate balance of force and finesse. You can almost hear the tiny groans of the metal as it slowly yields to his ministrations. He doesn't force it but coaxes it, understanding that patience is key when dealing with stubborn rust. He's probably thinking, "Just a little more, my friend, just a little more." As he works, the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock from the upstairs apartment becomes more pronounced, a steady, comforting beat in the background. It reminds you of the quiet domesticity that awaits Jean-Pierre, the comforting routine of his home life. Perhaps his wife is preparing their evening meal, the comforting clatter of pots and pans echoing faintly through the floorboards. It's a quiet promise of warmth and sustenance after a long day of intricate work. Did you know that the use of specialized lubricants for metal mechanisms, including those in umbrellas, became more common in the 19th century as industrialization advanced? These small innovations, while seemingly insignificant, played a crucial role in extending the life of everyday objects and ensuring their smooth operation. Jean-Pierre, ever practical, would have embraced such advancements, knowing they contributed to the quality and longevity of his repairs. He's a man who understands the value of a well-oiled machine, literally. He probably has very strong opinions on the different types of lubricants, too, a connoisseur of mechanical smooth operation. He continues to work the mechanism, and slowly, gradually, it begins to yield. The stubborn resistance lessens, replaced by a smoother, more fluid movement. The umbrella now opens and closes with a satisfying, almost silent grace. He gives a small nod of approval, a quiet acknowledgement of another successful repair. He then polishes the handle, a simple, unadorned wooden one, until it gleams with a soft luster. It's the finishing touch, the final act of care that transforms a broken object into a restored one. Suddenly, a loud, insistent rapping on the outer door echoes through the workshop, much louder than a usual customer's knock. Jean-Pierre looks up, his expression unreadable, a flicker of mild surprise in his eyes. He sets down the umbrella and walks towards the door, his movements a little stiffer now, perhaps, from the long hours of work. He opens it to reveal a gendarme, a Parisian police officer, standing on his doorstep, his uniform crisp, his expression stern. He is holding a large, somewhat disheveled umbrella. Monsieur Jean-Pierre, the gendarme asks, his voice deep and authoritative. I am investigating a small matter. This umbrella was found at the scene of a disturbance. Do you recognize it? He holds out the umbrella, its canopy a faded plaid, its handle a simple, unassuming wood. Jean-Pierre takes the umbrella, his gaze calm and steady. He turns it over in his hands, examining it with his usual quiet precision. He runs his thumb along the fabric, inspects the ribs, checks the mechanism. He seems to be looking for something specific, a telltale sign, a unique repair mark. His silence stretches, making the gendarme shift impatiently. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the gendarme's official presence contrasting sharply with the workshop's usual serenity. It's a bit like a quiet drama unfolding, right here in the heart of Paris. Historians still debate the effectiveness and nature of policing in 19th century Paris. The gendarmerie, while often seen as a force of order, also operated in a complex social landscape, often interacting with a diverse and sometimes desperate population. Jean-Pierre, as a respected artisan, would likely have been viewed with a certain level of trust, his workshop a quiet point of contact in the bustling urban environment. He's a man who observes, who sees, and perhaps remembers more than he lets on. After a long moment, Jean-Pierre looks up, his gaze meeting the gendarme's. Yes, he says, his voice low and clear. I recognize this umbrella. I repaired the main rib here last spring. See, this sma. LL knot where the thread is reinforced. It is my mark. He points to a barely perceptible detail on one of the ribs, a tiny knot in the thread, a testament to his unique repair technique. It's his signature, his quiet stamp of craftsmanship. The gendarme leans in, scrutinizing the spot Jean-Pierre indicates. He nods slowly, a flicker of surprise and professional respect in his eyes. Indeed, he says, his voice a little less stern now. And do you recall who owned this umbrella, monsieur? Jean-Pierre pauses, his eyes seeming to drift, as if sifting through countless memories, countless faces, countless umbrellas. He is a man who remembers details, a silent chronicler of the city's humble objects. He is about to speak, about to reveal a small piece of the umbrella's story, a piece of a larger mystery that the gendarme is trying to unravel. The air is thick with anticipation, the weight of a quiet revelation hanging in the balance. The gendarme probably never expected such a detailed identification from a simple umbrella mender. He's about to get a lot more than he bargained for. The gendarme leans in, his expression a mix of curiosity and professional intrigue. Jean-Pierre's quiet revelation about the unique knot on the umbrella has clearly piqued his interest. The small workshop, usually a haven of quiet industry, now holds a palpable tension, a quiet drama unfolding around a simple plaid umbrella. Jean-Pierre, ever the stoic, holds the gendarme's gaze, his eyes calm and unwavering. He is about to unlock a small piece of the city's hidden narrative, a testament to his meticulous observations and his remarkable memory. The owner of this umbrella, Jean-Pierre begins, his voice a low, steady murmur, was a gentleman who frequented the bookstalls along the Seine, a quiet man, always with his nose in a volume. He had a distinctive limp caused by an old war injury, if I recall correctly. He preferred to read in the rain under this very umbrella. Jean-Pierre gestures vaguely towards the imagined bookstalls, painting a vivid picture with a few carefully chosen words. He's not just a mender, he's a storyteller, a quiet historian of daily lives. The gendarme probably thinks he stumbled upon an unexpected goldmine of information. The gendarme's eyes widen slightly. He pulls out a small notebook and pencil, quickly jotting down Jean-Pierre's description. A limp, you say, and he read by the Seine. He pauses, looking at the umbrella. Was he involved in any political activities that you knew of, or perhaps associated with any particular groups? The question hangs in the air, hinting at a wider investigation, perhaps something more serious than a simple disturbance. Paris in the late 19th century was a hotbed of political ferment, and even a quiet umbrella mender might inadvertently hold clues to larger movements. Jean-Pierre shakes his head slowly. He spoke little, monsieur, only about the weather and sometimes the durability of his umbrella. He seemed content with his books, a scholar perhaps, or a philosopher, not a man of crowds. His voice holds a quiet conviction, a certainty born of careful observation over many encounters. He doesn't speculate, only states what he knows, what he has seen. He's a reliable witness, a silent sentinel of the streets. You can almost imagine him thinking, "My business is umbrellas, not politics." Historians often debate the extent to which ordinary citizens in 19th century Paris were aware of or involved in the various political movements and social unrest of the time. While major events made headlines, the daily lives of many continued largely unaffected, focused on work and family. Jean-Pierre embodies this quiet detachment, a man dedicated to his craft, observing the world from his small, self-contained universe. He's a true specialist, focused on his craft. The gendarme nods, still scribbling in his notebook. He looks at the umbrella again, then at Jean-Pierre, a new respect in his eyes. "Thank you, monsieur. This information is most helpful." He hands the umbrella back to Jean-Pierre. "Keep it for now. We may need to speak again." He then turns and leaves, his footsteps echoing down the cobblestones, his presence leaving behind a faint aura of officialdom and unsolved mysteries. The quiet in the workshop settles back in, but it feels different now, imbued with a hint of intrigue, a whisper of the wider world. Jean-Pierre stands for a moment, holding the plaid umbrella, his gaze thoughtful. He looks at the small knot on the rib, his silent mark, now a key to a larger narrative. He then carefully places the umbrella on a separate shelf, away from the other Mended umbrellas, almost as if it's a temporary exhibit, a silent witness to a moment of unforeseen intersection between his quiet life and the world outside. He's probably pondering the life of the book-loving man, wondering what disturbance he might have been involved in. He returns to his work, NCH, picking up a newly arrived umbrella, a simple black one with a slightly torn canopy. He resumes his work, the familiar rhythm of needle and thread, of fabric and metal. But the encounter with the gendarme has left a subtle imprint, a reminder that even in the most solitary of trades, one is inextricably linked to the intricate tapestry of urban life. His quiet observation of details, his remarkable memory, has unexpectedly made him a silent contributor to a larger story. He's a testament to the idea that even the smallest threads can sometimes unravel a big secret. He's probably thinking, well, that was certainly a change of pace. The afternoon light begins to fade, painting the workshop in soft, warm hues. Jean-Pierre continues his work, his hands moving with practiced ease. The faint scent of oil and fabric fills the air, a comforting aroma. The ginger cat Napoleon saunters in, rubs against his legs, then jumps onto the workbench, settling into his usual spot. Jean-Pierre reaches out, stroking the cat's fur, a quiet moment of companionship. The cat purrs, a comforting rumble in the quiet room. He's back in his rhythm, his calm, focused world, even with the faint echo of a mystery lingering in the air. He's a man who finds solace in the tangible, the repairable, the quiet certainties of his craft. The final light of the day, a soft, ethereal glow, spills into Jean Pierre's workshop, painting the worn tools and fabric scraps in shades of amber and rose. He finishes the black umbrella, its torn canopy seamlessly mended, its mechanism now perfectly smooth. He holds it up, turning it slowly, a faint, satisfied nod of his head marking the completion of another day's diligent work. The incident with the gendarme and the mysterious plaid umbrella now seems a distant echo, fading into the comfortable routine of his craft. He's a man who grounds himself in the present, in the tangible act of making things whole. He places the mended black umbrella on the rack, joining the silent ranks of other restored objects awaiting their owners. He then begins his familiar evening ritual of tidying, a calming progression of putting tools away, sweeping the floor, and wiping down his workbench. Each movement is deliberate, precise, a quiet act of order in a world that can often feel chaotic. He's preparing his sanctuary for the night, ensuring it's ready for the dawn and another day of industry. He's a bit like a conductor, putting his instruments away after a beautiful, quiet symphony of mending. The air in the workshop is now filled with the gentle sense of polish and old wood, a comforting blend that speaks of dedication and time. The ginger cat, Napoleon, still curled on the workbench, watches him with half-closed eyes, occasionally letting out a soft, rumbling purr. Jean Pierre reaches out, stroking the cat's head, a quiet moment of affection. This small, furry companion is a constant in his solitary working life, a warm, reassuring presence. He probably tells Napoleon all his secrets, knowing they'll be kept under fluffy, feline lock and key. Another day, old friend. Another battle won against the forces of breakage. Did you know that despite the rise of department stores and mass-produced goods in the late 19th century, specialized craftsmen like umbrella menders continued to thrive in cities like Paris? Their unique skills, personalized service, and ability to repair complex items ensured a steady demand for their services, especially for those who valued durability and quality over cheap replacements. Jean Pierre is a living testament to the enduring value of skilled labor, a quiet defiance against the tide of industrialization. He's a true artisan, surviving and even flourishing in an evolving world. He probably thinks, they can make them quickly, but they can't mend them well. He takes a last look around his tidy workshop, his gaze lingering on the worn surfaces, the faint gleam of polished metal, the neatly stacked fabrics. It's a space imbued with his presence, with decades of quiet dedication and countless acts of restoration. It's more than just a workshop. It's a reflection of his life, a testament to his values. He's a man who finds meaning in the tangible, in the honest work of his hands. He probably feels a deep sense of belonging here, a quiet comfort in his familiar surroundings. He extinguishes the gas lamp, the flame flickering and dying, plunging the workshop into near darkness. Only the faint, diffused light from the street outside now illuminates the room, casting long, dancing shadows that soften the edges of everything. The tools and materials recede into shadow, becoming indistinct shapes, awaiting the dawn and the return of light and purpose. The air grows cooler, a hush settling over the space, a peaceful slumber descending. He walks towards the door that leads to the upstairs apartment, his footsteps soft, almost silent on the worn floorboards. As he reaches the doorway, he pauses, looking back at his workshop one last time. It's a silent farewell to the day, a moment of reflection before he transitions into his domestic life. He is a man of routines, of quiet rituals, finding comfort and meaning in the rhythm of his days. You can almost feel the gentle shift in his energy, from the focused craftsman to the family man, ready for his evening meal and a bit of rest. The door closes softly behind him, leaving the workshop in complete darkness. The lingering scent of his day's work slowly dissipating into the quiet night. The sounds of Paris are now hushed, a gentle murmur of a city settling down. You are left alone in the stillness, surrounded by the ghosts of repaired umbrellas, the lingering scent of old fabric and metal, and the faint, almost imperceptible purr of a contented cat, still dreaming of sunshine and dry days. It's a peaceful, enveloping silence, a gentle end to the day's journey into the silent life of a 19th century Parisian umbrella mender. Sleep well, knowing that even in the quietest corners of history, there were dedicated hands bringing order and restoration to the world, one broken umbrella at a time. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? A testament to the quiet heroes who keep the world turning one stitch, one mend, one thoughtful repair at a time. Now, as the echoes of Jean Pierre's quiet workshop fade into the soft hum of your own space, feel yourself gently drifting. The day is done. The city's whispers are quieting, and the gentle rhythm of rest begins. Imagine the softest fabric, perhaps a cloud spun from moonlight, gently wrapping around you. You are safe, you are warm, and the day's worries, like scattered dust motes, are slowly settling into stillness. Let your breath become a slow, even wave, rising and falling with peaceful serenity. The worries of tomorrow are far away, a distant shore that doesn't need your attention right now. All that matters is this moment, this soft descent into quietude. Feel your muscles softening, your eyelids growing heavier as if weighted by the gentle sleep that awaits you. The thoughts in your mind are like tiny boats, slowly drifting away on a calm, moonlit lake until they are no longer visible, no longer of consequence. Just peace, just quiet, drifting into a deep and restful sleep. Good night.